Welcome back to Tommy's Trading Post. In this episode, I'll go through the March numbers, the sales that we did, the cards that sold, and some singles that I sold. I'll talk through some of the things that I've been doing in terms of just marketing in general, from emails that I'm doing to some changes on the website. And then we'll end it off with kind of a big move that's going on in my life and what it means for Tommy's Trading Post moving forward. Let's get into it. So diving into this month's performance, we had about 1,400 cards sold. Again, this is pretty rough with lots that I have going on, or collections or full sets, but close to 1,400 for a gross sale of around $3,500. And that is a little bit of a dip from February, as you can see here. The big thing that impacted this were auctions. My auctions didn't perform as well, or just the cards I had on auction were not as desirable. That is the big thing that I noticed. As we get in, you can see the overall net is pretty low. Last month we almost did $1,000. This month we almost did $100. And there's a few reasons as we'll get to the expenses. eBay fees were pretty similar. Shipping labels were pretty similar. Refunds were down a good amount. I'm pretty pleased to see this. The big thing that happened again in February was some bigger orders that just got refunded and sent back or canceled. I think I had an auction for close to $100 that was canceled here. The shipping materials, so this is where some of the overall net shows up. I had $500 in shipping materials. I got a bunch of different stuff just for long-term use, a bunch of different envelopes, a bunch of bubble mailers, some tape, a bunch of just random things that kind of added up the totals here. Then kept materials, I don't even remember what this was, but we had $7 there. And then bought cards, again, a bigger portion taken away from the overall net. We had $1,400. I bought a really big collection kind of towards the end of the month with a bunch of modern cards, some sketches, or I think one sketch, a bunch of numbered cards, and then just refractors, base, inserts, and stuff that I can easily plug into my current listings. So that's kind of the overall rundown. Again, the bought cards, the shipping materials, and then just overall a little bit of a down month in terms of March led to a overall net of close to $100. And overall net total, since I've started this, we're getting to about 1,300. So we're getting there, but definitely a slower month in terms of gross sales. But I'm glad to see the total cards keep going up. The big thing again impacting this was auctions. Diving into listings sold data. So this is again for the month of March. You can see the 1977s were a big play here as normal. Pretty spread though. I mean, over 100 of each series and then close to 50 stickers, which are just hard to keep in stock. The 1980s, again, having a decent amount. You can see the 2023s. This is Chrome, Finest, Flagship, Galaxy, some Disney in there. Again, a good spread across the board. What I added though is we can see graded and we can also see lots and singles. So these are, lots of cards that I sold, whether it's a full set or it could be, 3, 4, or 5 cards. Singles obviously makes sense. And then graded cards I separated as well. Singles is something that I'm continually like adding to my eBay, just due to the fact that when I buy big collections, a lot of the cards could be singles, or I just don't have a good listing to put them in. So it either goes to a single or a lot if I'm grouping cards. But overall, again, a pretty good, healthy month here in terms of stuff sold across the board. Diving into eBay. So this is my report for eBay. Again, you can see the total sales down, net sales down, the quantity sold up. But here's the bigger difference here. Obviously, we had, fixed sales down a little bit, but the auctions were the bigger piece. The thing that I do love to see is repeat buyers continues to go up. I'm really pleased with that. It means that I'm building a little bit of a community on eBay, or people that at least come to me in terms of, their Star Wars cards. And then you can kind of see a little bit of a breakdown of just the month in general. We did have some slower days where, we did $18. The end of the month was a little bit slow other than one big day. But overall, just, a little bit of a slower month, not the end of the world, to be honest. Again, I'm still doing, close to $3,500 worth of total sales. So I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm still, over $1,000 in terms of quantity sold. So I think it was a good month overall. Diving into a few of the cards, singles that I sold. This first one is a Topps Chrome Galaxy 2024. It's the High Ground Blue Refractor out of 150. Still probably my favorite card that I've found recently, specifically for scenes. The reason I sold this is it used to be in my personal collection. I upgraded to a Mojo Refractor out of 50 since that's what I collect. So I went ahead and sold this one. I think it was for a little bit under this best offer, to be honest. But again, a great card in my opinion. The last one or next one I want to show you is just a 1977 #1 Luke Skywalker. I run these on auctions. I try to do them close to weekly or bi-weekly, and this one sold for $102.50, which I was very shocked by. I always start them at 99 cents. I have no reserves. Buyer pays for shipping, like $5 or so. But the thing that I was shocked by is, yes, it is decently nice and centered, but you can see here this little chip mark on the left-hand side. And I mean, I do my best to show every piece of the condition of this card, just because people are going to pay a good penny for it, and I want them to know exactly what they're getting. But this was definitely a shocker for me. But again, overall, I feel like a pretty good month. We made decent money. I had a lot of really good conversations with a bunch of sellers. I had an interesting thing with UPS or USPS. But overall, a good month. And next we'll get into some of the stuff that I'm working on or some of the changes that have been happening. So diving into just a few things that I want to mention that I've been working on or, trying to expand in terms of marketing in general and still building a community around Tommy's Trading Post is I'm really starting to lean more into building an email list. It is on tommystradingpost.com. You can sign up there. I believe you get like 10% off for your first order. But the big thing here is it just gives collectors a lot of information. It gives them a bunch of different resources that come their way, whether it's different checklists, whether it's materials, displaying, collecting, etc. But it also gives them listing updates. So the big thing that I do is, I was gone 2 days this past week. A bunch of cards sold. When I look at my store, it pretty much looks empty for a lot of listings. And so when I update those listings with new cards, I make sure to send out an email saying, hey, here are the listings that are updated. Check them out if you were looking for anything. I try to do emails around, different cards that I'm putting up for auction or just putting on the store in terms of like set. So if I know I'm listing a bunch of 2024 Galaxy singles in the next, 10 days, I send out an email being like, hey, look out for, Galaxy singles coming up if you're looking for any or want to buy any. So the idea around it is just to really give updates in terms of what's coming up. It gives people the ease and kind of early access of getting to a listing before people just find it. And again, trying to build a little bit more of a community. It is still a very rough idea. I am still working on different ways that I can grow it, but also have some fun or some informational. I'm thinking of, showing off cards from people in the Facebook group that they maybe share there, or showing off some of my cards, or just, thoughts in terms of maybe shows like Mall that just came out. So it's still a growing piece of what I'm doing. I'm just trying to do it more. But I'm definitely sending out emails about listing updates, materials, collection, or collector, display stuff, etc. So that's the first really big piece. The second thing in terms of marketing is my girlfriend is helping with my website right now, and she is doing a 10 times better job than I ever did on my website. So if you go there, you'll notice it's definitely laid out differently. It's laid out a lot better, and it's easier to navigate. There's, clearer sections of what I have on the website. The big piece that I want to call out though is she's currently working through the checklist that I built. Previously, they were not very user-friendly. They were like this big drop-down thing. It was just really confusing. So she's going in and she's updated, I believe, everything up until the modern checklists. And they are, easy to scroll. They're different tabs. You can actually check them off in the checklist, and it kind of has like a bar of how many cards you have, like a percentage of the set. So you can use them whether you're looking through your collection and trying to check off, hey, here's what I have, here's what I don't. If you're, you bought a big collection and you want to see what cards you do have out of a set versus which ones that you don't or didn't get in that collection that you bought. Overall, it's just laid out a lot better. If you look at a bunch of different pages on the website, it just looks 10 times better. But the checklists are something that I definitely wanted to mention. And then to close out this episode, kind of the bigger update is we are looking to move. Her and I, my girlfriend and I, are looking to move in together, get a place of our own. We have this house that we are pretty set on, and we're, fingers crossed we're good. We can move in, and it would be around May-ish. But the big thing with that is I'll just have like a better setup. The idea being that I'll be a lot more organized. I'll be able to take pictures faster. So I'm really hoping that we get the place that we're looking at, but it might or should help me, get more cards out, be able to update listings faster. Shipping will be better. When I buy a collection, it won't sit for a long time. I'll be able to go through it and take pictures of, bigger lots, bigger cards, or card lots, because right now my setup's pretty small and it's hard to do, a big collection of cards that I'm looking to sell, or like full sets or whatever the case may be. So fingers crossed on that one, but that is the bigger update. Again, I appreciate all the love. I've had a lot of really good conversations. I've got some times coming up to meet some people that I've sold cards to frequently and just connect with them. And I'm looking at going to more shows. That's the big thing that I'm looking at this summer, is just seeing if there's a a few shows in the area that I can stop by and maybe pick up some cards or just have some good conversations. So again, thank you very much for all the love, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.